Joining me today is a lady who needs no introduction. She is the biggest pop star in the world right now. It is Lady Gaga. Hello.
Thank you. Just right now.
Just right
Tomorrow
now.
I won't be. Not after this interview.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am very well. Now, Lady Gaga.
You look really great.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, very sparkly.
All for you. All for you right now. So Born This Way was your first single to be released from your up-and-coming brand new album. Now, it's the fastest-selling single in the history of iTunes, which is absolutely incredible. What did you do when you heard that news?
I couldn't believe it. Honestly, it was like just a completely life-changing experience. And, you know, I knew that the fans would be very excited when I put out my first single off the third album, and I wanted to make sure that the message was really strong and powerful. And I wanted to make sure that now that I, you know, am so blessed and in this position where I have little monsters and I have the world listening, you know, what is it that I'm going to say? And I want to push the boundaries of love and acceptance. And sonically, you know, I made the song really noisy, and it's a total ruckus, and it's quite literal in what it's talking about. And I was really, really proud and really happy that it spoke to as many people as it did. I wanted to create a sort of fantasy. The theme behind the album is like avant-garde techno rock fantasy pop. So it's a series of these fantasy films that I'm creating. And the fantasy of the video is the fantasy of a race that bears no prejudice. And I give birth in the video to the new race, but through the visuals, the new race also gives birth to me. And it's this sort of mitosis and coming together. And there's this afterbirth that's really beautiful with all this slime, and the dance is very pure, and we're all together, and we're in this abyss of darkness. And the setup with Rico and the tattoo makeup was a tribute to the fact that he was not born with tattoos, but he was in fact born this way, as it was always his destiny to become the man that he is today. So the video is, you know, a layering of metaphors about rebirth.
And our popular show Glee recently covered Born This Way. What did you think of it?
I thought it was so great, and I love Glee. And Glee, you know, Glee fights a good fight, a really good fight, and it's important to have programs like that and artists like that and people in the world that are pushing the standards of television and media.
So Judas is your latest single. What would you say the main message is behind that track?
Well, I originally wrote this song about an ex-boyfriend who loved Judas Priest, the metal band. And then as I started to write the song, I said, well, Judas, my goodness, that has a very strong biblical meaning. And I'm Catholic, so I grew up reading the Bible and all kinds of iconography about Judas and Jesus and Mary Magdalene and the crucifixion, the betrayal. So I thought about the sort of epitome of the betraying ex-boyfriend would be the archetype of Judas. So then when I started to unfold the meaning of the lyrics, and I often learn about myself through the lyrics that I write, I realized that I was speaking for both the betrayer and for the person who was forgiving the betrayer, who was moving on from their past as opposed to obsessing over what was haunting them. So in the video, I play Mary Magdalene, who I believe was the apostle of the apostles. I believe she was a very, very strong woman who led all the apostles into the places in Jerusalem where all the people needed to be saved. And I wanted to create a metaphor that is not a religious lesson, but a cultural lesson about forgiveness and looking for light and love in unassuming people. And forgive the things that haunt you, and open up your heart to the good.
And you made your directorial debut for the music video. What was that experience like?
It was great. I worked with Lorianne Gibson, who's been my choreographer for a long time, and the House of Gaga. We all did it together, and it was a very exciting moment for us because we have, you know, always written the treatments and things together, but we'd never just not hired a director and done it ourselves. And I think we knocked it out of the park. It was the first time that we've had a reaction like that since Bad Romance. I think it's almost at like 27 million views in just a few days. It's really exciting.
So Born This Way is the title of your brand new, highly anticipated album, released on the 23rd of May. Now you've described the album as techno rock, so can you talk us through it?
Yeah, well, the album is an experiment in lots of different kinds of sounds and genres and approaches to creating pop music. I love Four on the Floor with dance music, but I also wanted to push my sound. And when I first came on the radio, Four on the Floor was not what was being played mostly, and then has now become something that's played a lot on the radio. So when I created Born This Way, I thought, well, I want to put myself in a similar position to where I was in the beginning, fighting for a spot on the radio. So with the new songs, there is some experimentation of going in and out of Four on the Floor, more experimental drum beats. It's a bit more sledgehammering and noisy and industrial. And the metal rock element is in the spirit of the choruses. They're very big and very epic and very anthemic, and they represent the spirit of Monsters, which is revolutionary in a rebellious love. That's how I would say them. They have a rebellious love. Their love is so great that it's rebellious.
And is it true that Bruce Springsteen was your inspiration when making this album?
He was a tremendous inspiration. Bruce, Madonna was a big inspiration. I would also say I thought a lot about Prince. I thought a lot about, dark German house music. I could go on and on. Edith Piaf was a big inspiration for some of the vocal quality that I was going for. Early 90s R&B, Whitney Houston was a big influence for Marry the Night especially. I took a blend of lots of different things. I'm not one thing, I'm lots of different things. On the Edge of Glory, even, for example, there's, I'm sure, I don't know, well, I don't want to compare myself to anyone, but there's a bit of a sort of Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks as well, mixed with some Giorgio Moroder influence. I wanted the album to sound like a party, but like a film as well.
Okay, cool.
So there's like sort of a musical theater quality to it.
Wow. And The Edge of Glory is rumoured to be your third single. Is that true?
I think so. I don't think we had intended it for it to be, but it just sort of decided for itself that it was going to be the third single.
It's done so well at the moment, hasn't it? It's just stormed through the charts.
Oh yeah, it just cut Judas's head off.
It really has. So Born This Way Ball is rumoured to be your brand new tour. Can you confirm that, and what can your little monsters expect from
I
that
think
tour?
it will be, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call it. I think I'm going to call it the Born This Way Ball, the third Monster Ball.
Oh, wow.
I think that's it, because I don't want to entirely get rid of the name, the Monster Ball, because the fans will always be called Monsters. So I'm thinking it will be the Born This Way Ball and then some mutation of the Monster Ball. And I have this idea of making, T-shirts that have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5. So how many different times you've gone. I need to get a monster paw tattoo. That's my next tattoo.
Now, your name gets mentioned quite a lot when new artists talk about who they look up to in the industry right now. So how does that make you feel that a lot of people are saying you are the reason that they are where they are today?
Oh, wow. I didn't know anyone felt that way.
Yeah, quite a lot of artists bring your name up all the time.
Oh, wow. Well, I would say to all of them, kick some ass. Because I think music is so beautiful, and I think we should just widen the horizons as much as we can and have as many new artists on the charts as possible.